Probably the Avengers.
Really? Really? That's big. That's a big statement because the Avengers just came out, what, a week and a half ago?
You mean it's better than any movie you've ever seen?
Absolutely.
Wow.
That's
a
big statement, yeah.
I mean, at first, it was 300, because, I was just a little upset because they didn't cast me in the movie. But...
you want to be out there?
I wanted to say, this is Sparta. I wanted to say.
He wouldn't have got that job.
I was bigger than him.
Yeah, but he had a better looking package. He looked like, he looked the part. You're kind of long and you're kind of dark, so they might.
Kind of dark.
It was hot.
He would have been a Persian,
I could have at least been the guy to get kicked in the hole.
Yeah, they gave you that.
Yeah, I'd have done that. Well, anyway, yes, the Avengers.
Now, what about your worst?
There are so many. Most of them star the Wayans brothers.
Man. Shots fired.
Yes, you know how I feel about black movies.
Two of them. We are
Tyler Perry. Shout out to Tyler Perry.
Right, shout out to Keenan Ivory Wayans.
They're okay.
Keenan's okay.
It's those other guys, those nasty.
Sean and Marlon.
Oh God.
You don't like Sean and Marlon?
All they do is hang around penises. You see them movies? I had the displeasure. You know what? That is the worst movie I've ever seen. Scary Movie Part 1. I had the pleasure of seeing that in the theater.
I thought that shit was hilarious.
I thought it was funny. It's a parody. When
he was shorty. Oh, come on, man.
It's a parody.
He got the penis put through his ear, and the girl got stuck on the ceiling. That is sick.
That was hilarious.
Lord.
Sex sells. Well, whether you want to.
Whether you like it or not, the Scary Movie franchise has been pretty damn successful.
And it only got worse when they sold it. Now, for me, that's what you can tell the difference. What they do, like 2 or 3, and then they sold it to another producer.
Oh yeah, and it got it bad.
It went downhill. I mean, it was okay, but the best thing to save the second part of Scary Movies were Kevin Hart. He was hilarious. That's when people really got to know who Kevin Hart was.
I mean, there are a lot of crap movies as far as big movies that were in the theater. That is probably the worst one I've ever seen.
Okay.
I hate those guys.
What about you, man?
I've seen a bunch of movies, but I'm in the younger generation, so I say the best movie that I've seen in recent years, my personal favorite, I have a few personal favorites. I like actors who are memorable. So of course, one of my favorite movies is Dark Knight. All right, I love that movie.
That was a good movie. That was a really good movie.
I was a big fan of the first Spider-Man. When the first Spider-Man came out and I was young, I like that movie.
Okay.
I'm only naming superhero movies.
No, it's okay. Hey,
some of the more dramatic movies I liked. Forrest Gump. I see it as a more dramatic movie, but Forrest Gump, it always hits me. I always liked that movie. I love Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
I love Adam Sandler. I'm going away from the dramatic, but I love Adam Sandler. So I like movies like Happy Gilmore and Mr. Deeds and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Those have always been some of
Happy,
mine.
the gold jacket's yours. Shoot is
I was proud of you for a few minutes.
Well, I mean, I like some of Adam Sandler's earlier work. I find Adam Sandler hilarious.
Adam Sandler is hilarious. Don't worry about Wolf.
Worried about Wolf.
Don't worry about Wolf.
Truth be told,
So you had your turn, Wolf. So what's the worst show you see?
Oh, worst movies. I mean, I've scrolled through Netflix, and I know a lot of our viewers probably have too. You can find some pretty bad movies on Netflix.
Yeah.
I remember one day looking with some of my buddies. We found 2 movies that I want everybody to know about. One is called Hobo with a Shotgun.
Hobo with a Shotgun.
Hobo with a Shotgun. It's about a town who's run by a gang, and a hobo comes and saves the town with a shotgun.
That actually sounds awesome.
I'm gonna look it up.
It's a crazy movie. Another movie. You'll probably laugh from just the title. The movie's called Mutant Vampire Zombies from the Hood.
This is entertainment.
It's a real movie.
How did you create that?
This is a real movie. It is one of the most terrible.
That writer had to be on a lot.
Zombie movies. I've never heard of a zombie vampire.
That's the point.
And they're from the hood.
And they're from the hood. You have terrible jokes. You have terrible lines. But it's one of the bad movies that are enjoyable because they are bad. I'll say those two are the worst movies I have ever.
But see, that doesn't count as worse because there's a difference between bad and enjoyable bad.
I mean, it's
what's a movie that you straight hate?
Straight hate that I couldn't watch.
Yes,
I can't watch any movie with Julia Roberts.
God. No Eat, Pray, Love for you?
I can't watch any movie with Sarah Jessica Parker.
Horseface?
Yeah, she had a bad run. She had like her Sex in the Series was good, but then she went to like all those rom-coms as they call them. Her and Matthew McConaughey.
You know,
I agree.
You know, like I can't stand movie with women actors who are terrible. I'm not, you know, nothing against Julia Roberts. You know, Julia Roberts, she does her thing. I'm not a fan. Sarah Jessica Parker does her thing. I'm not a fan.
Right.
You know, those are people that I just, I can't watch it.
Luke, it's on you.
It's hard to follow that one up.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a moviegoer. I mean, I can count the amount of movies I've been to in the last decade on one hand. So I'm not a very good person to come to as far as movies are concerned. My movies are from like the 80s back.
You know what? Honestly, mine are too.
So, you know.
I mean, but those are some of the greatest movies, you know.
Well, yeah. It's just, you know, some of the kids listening to this might be like, whoa, what the hell is he talking about?
Educate.
Terminator,
Google.
Star Wars,
Educate. Oh, yeah. They'll look it up online while they're listening.
Well, anybody who knows me knows there's only one choice for me to make as far as movies are concerned. The only movie that I can possibly put as my top choice is, of course, A Hard Day's Night, The Beatles.
Okay.
That kind of changed the genre of rock and roll movies at the time. We were stuck with a lot of those Elvis movies like Girl Happy and Viva Las Vegas, and that changed the whole genre and gave them a little bit of more cachet, if you want to call it that. And of course, the Beatles, you know, that's a great selling point. I have some other like more mainstream movies that I enjoyed. I remember very clearly when I first went to see E.T. That was a big movie because at the time I remember specifically turning around because we were towards the front of the movie theater and turning around and looking at the faces of the people who were watching it and how mesmerized they were by it. Now it's hard to think of that because everybody's seen E.T. and they've seen it multiple times, but upon seeing it the first time, it was cataclysmic,
right,
just to see how people responded to it. And I was like, Steven Spielberg is a genius. That was a movie that really hit me hard. Kramer versus Kramer was a very good movie.
Okay.
And Wolf might find that movie very interesting.
Kramer versus Kramer.
Kramer versus Kramer. It starred Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep.
Yeah, I think I saw
And it was about
Meryl Streep.
about a divorced couple and their custody problems with their child, with their son. And it was pretty strong for those days. The girl I went with, she loved it. We stayed for it twice, which is very rare for me to stay and watch a movie twice. And the last one that I want to bring up is my favorite. How do you say in this genre as far as like kid movies? I was a kid at the time. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
I thought Ferris Bueller was my hero.
He was so cool. He was so cool. So what was the worst?
The worst. I pretty much can put generally any chick flick in there.
Any chick you just don't like chick flick.
What was that? That tomato, you know?
Fried green tomato.
Fried green tomatoes, and in fact, Julia Roberts is.
She was inside the name.
Yes.
Fried green tomatoes and anything related to chick flicks. That just makes me ill. Anything that's on Lifetime. I can pretty much say
Basically,
that makes me
movies.
ill.
Are you telling me you didn't like Titanic?
Titanic. Wow, Titanic was one of the worst movies. I've never actually seen it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen it.
You didn't like the music of the person who sang the music?
It's
at all?
tough.
Well,
very long.
Well, Celine Dion, who considers herself the greatest singer of all time, she's awful. She's just the worst. Tiny Tim was better than Celine Dion, and the movie itself was just so overhyped and overdone. I could care less about rich people dying in a boat accident.
I mean, the special effects were awesome. The way people died at the end,
falling off that
boat, that was epic.
Now that I might have enjoyed, but I couldn't go through the rest of the movie to get to that.
It was a very drawn out
story. It made me ill. Oh, it made me ill.
Yes,
but basically any chick flick. There are some chick flicks that actually might be interesting, but none of them come to mind at this point.
Okay. Well, for me, I'm like you guys. I got a couple of them. My movies are a bit older, outside of one franchise. But one of my favorite movies of all time, and I know I'm going to get killed for this, but I love Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original.
That's the first movie to make me cry.
I am a chocolate nut. I can watch that movie now and I just fantasize like, take me chocolate wonderful.
I mean, that's one of the great movies.
I love that. I love the music. I know every
music
song.
is incredible.
I love that movie. Now, some of my other favorite movies, people hate it and they got really, really bad reviews. Like Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. I love Bruce Leroy.
Who didn't like The Last Dragon?
Oh, they ripped that movie.
Yeah, they did.
What?
They ripped that movie.
Shown up?
Yes, they ripped that movie. That's one of my
The
favorite
greatest
movies.
villain of all time.
And then in that same era, you have Breaking 1 and 2, the breakdancing movie with Turbo and Ozone. Oh, I love Breaking. I love breaking. I love the dancing because like I told you guys before, I love to dance, and that was one of the first like break dancing movies where the entire movie was based on battles through break dancing. And Turbo and Ozone were the first Chris Browns, Michael Jackson, Usher. They did all that stuff back in the 80s. And for those of you who haven't seen it, look up Breaking 1 and 2. They are great.
It's funny you should mention that because I worked at a recording studio in New York City at the time. I had just gotten out of audio engineering school and I worked for Arthur Baker,
Okay.
the music producer, and it just so happened that Breaking had just came out, and that was the big movie at the time.
I love Breaking,
and I was like, I really wasn't into hip hop. Well, it wasn't even called hip hop at the time.
It really was.
And so I find it interesting. That brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah, I love those. Those are some of my favorites. Now in the newer era, like again, I know I'm gonna get ripped for this, but I love the Harry Potter series. I love the animation. I love all of the.
As somebody who's read the books,
I never read the books.
Yeah, I think it's great. If you've never read the books, definitely go see it.
I heard the same thing.
I read the books. They leave out so much. There's so much more that they should have included. There's so much.
Tell them about the character that you brought up.
They leave out. They left out one of the greatest characters in the series, Peeves. Peeves the Poltergeist.
What did he do?
He was basically an asshole.
Okay.
He would just go around fucking with everybody.
Okay.
Like, I found it hilarious. He's one of my favorite characters in the book.
Okay.
And they totally excluded him from the movie series.
Yeah, I hear that from everybody. I never read the books. I've only seen the movie.
And some of it, I loved reading the books.
Okay.
I read them since when they first came out.
Okay.
So when I read them and I heard the movies was coming out, naturally I got excited.
Right.
I think the best one out of them all was the first one.
Yeah,
the first one did it perfectly. They did very well. But after that, every one of them sucked.
Now, see, I like the second one. I like the second one a lot because, for me, like I said, I never read the books, but from just the movie standpoint, they developed them well. Like I said, I've heard from a lot of people that the book and the movie don't match. And I get that, and maybe that's a good thing because I never want to read the book just for the fact that I do like the series. Because I found out about Harry Potter on some humbug. I'm a little bit older. I was dating a girl and she had Harry Potter, and we watched it, and I was like, oh shit, let me get the next one, And I actually, meaning I didn't plan on watching Harry Potter. I didn't even really like it.
Okay.
I seen the previews, I seen the commercials, but it didn't mean anything to me. But when I actually watched it with her, I was like, oh man, this is interesting. I loved all the graphics and the cinematics and all the special effects. For me, visually, they did a great job. So I loved it. Now, my worst movie ever was made by Mr. Rob Zombie. House of 1,000 Dead Corpses. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Oh my God, I was so irritated because I love scary movies. Oh, and I forgot, one of my other favorite series is the Saw series. I love Saw. They did a great job with Saw. I have all of those.
I'm a fan.
But when I seen House of 1,000 Dead Corpses, me and my buddy, I think he was my freshman and sophomore year in college when it came out. And he's like, oh man, this movie gonna be great. I've been reading reviews. We gotta go. But me and him went. And I believe it was about 6 people in the theater. And we walked in and I'm like, are early? He was like, no, they'll be here. And we sat there the whole time, and I swear to you, maybe 2 or 3 people came through there. And I watched it from the beginning, and I was